When Buddha delivered his first discourse, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, or the setting in motion the wheel of Dhamma, and he mentioned that he discovered this Four Noble Truth, which has been discovered by previous Buddhas and various other people. So this is something has been discovered. So I just wanted to give my experience on this Four Noble Truth, and it is to be realized. So I came across this Swami Sarvapriyananda's explanation of Four Noble Truth. So I wanted to tag along with his explanation of Four Noble Truth and give some experiential account about the realization of this Four Noble Truth. So this is a very long discussion that Swami Sarvapriyananda, I'm just picking up only this specific section related to the Four Noble Truth. So we'll listen to that.
There is, for example, in Buddha's original dialogues, there is this, when he sees these subtle debates going on. He said, "O monks, when your house is on fire, would you debate the nature of fire or would you put it out? When you are shot with an arrow, would you give discourses on arrows or, help the, try to take the arrow out and save yourself?"
This is the very good point that he is bringing up, because I know that many Buddhists, they are really trying to interpret the sutra and trying to debate about what is being said, or whether it is right, or this person is explaining it right or wrong. So, which is not been the purpose of Buddha's teaching. That's what he's saying, because Buddha mentioned originally that do not debate on this. Actually, his teaching is to just the solution. So if you have a problem, he has given the solution in the sense that really you need to realize by yourself rather than just debating with others. So this is a very good point I wanted to emphasize as well for many Buddhists that really was thinking about whether this is right or whether this is wrong. And all that, those are actually the deviating your purpose of being a Buddhist. So that is why many of the Buddhists are not really experiencing this teaching. And as you know that really when in the Kalama Sutra, Buddha mentioned that really this is not to be either believe or debate or they understand in the sense that analyze, but this is to realize by yourself, or it's bringing it through you.
Suffering. Instead of discoursing on the nature of suffering, on subtle discussions on that, one would try to overcome suffering.
Yeah, again, that I want to reiterate that the examples given by Buddha, because if your house is on fire, you are not looking for who put the fire on, or that you go and then put out the fire, right? And the same way, like this is the most common example. Even it is that if you got shot with an arrow, take the arrow off and treat the wound, and then try to cure it. So those two are the good example that he has brought up, and then make sure that you get the full benefit of Buddha's teaching.
And so when the Buddha was asked questions like this, does the self exist or does it not? Will the Buddha be there after death, after the death of the body? And so on. Number of questions. In fact, 14 great silences of the Buddha are there. Why did the Buddha keep silent on these subjects? If you ask the Buddha, today's question, self or no self? Is there a self? The Buddha's answer actually was, did I say there was? So the monk, the bhikkhu, jumps to the other conclusion. Oh, so there is no self. Did I say there was not? Then he's puzzled. What do you mean? There either is or there is not. And then the Buddha says, and so other teachers teach this. Some say there is a self, some say there is nothing. And they were nihilists or materialists who said there was no permanent self at all, this matter. So what are you teaching? He says, I teach that there is suffering, and there is a reason for suffering, cause, and there is an end to suffering, and there is a way out of suffering. The four.
Yeah, it is actually nicely presented because the Swami Sarvapriyananda, actually, he's a very good scholar who is the actually uh, leading abbot on this Vedantic Society of New York. To me, I see that really he has been really studying these things and doing somewhat a good service to Buddhism as well by highlighting the right approach that Buddha has delivered to the people. And then, so here that really he's giving that very good point, saying his teaching is all about Four Noble Truth, nothing more than that. And I just want to emphasize is that really philosophy that you have to discuss here and there, but you have to practice by yourself and then realize it.
Four Noble Truths. Very practical.
So as Four Noble Truth goes, actually, that he mentioned that Four Noble Truths, first is actually dukkha, which is the people have translated that as a suffering and sometimes dissatisfaction. Sometimes they call it distress. So these are the label given for the nature that really we are as human experiencing. But when he said dukkha as a truth, what Buddha meant was that you can let go of this discomfort, which you think that this is your normal life, and detach from it, detach from this medium of survival and be free. The free from those discomfort, which you've taken it for granted. Find out this is a medium of suffering. You need to, that tadpole need to transform into a frog and then come out from that water. Then only you can see the water as water separately. So this is what the actually first noble truth is by analogy. That means that really you need to come out from this normal course of suffering, come out of that. So you bring your awareness out of that, and then you actually dwell in that the dry land in compared to that analogy. So then you really realize, okay, this is the real dukkha, or this is the real water. So with that, actually, you can, just like the frog can jump into the water again and then come out, because once you transform into a frog, you never become back to a tadpole, because your whole thing has been now understood. So that is why the first noble truth, if you totally experience the first noble truth, you will never go back to the you used to be before. Like a frog cannot become a tadpole anymore. So that is what it is all about.
Practical system of ethics and meditation, designed to take you directly to enlightenment and freedom.
This is another good point he mentioned, that really this is a practical system of meditation and realizing the noble truth by yourself. It's not a kind of a somebody's there to guide you, or you have to follow a guru to get there. But this is actually the self-realization. And for that, Buddha has given the right methodology. So you have to just follow it and yourself. And you can do it at home, or you can do it wherever you are. And this is actually more self-realization within you.
So, dukkha, suffering, first noble truth. Sarvam dukkham, all is suffering. Somebody told me don't translate it as suffering because a lot of people are actually not suffering. But just about everybody is dissatisfied. So translate it as dissatisfaction with state of things. And it can intensify into pain and suffering.
When you say the first noble truth, the truth that he discovered was that you can be away from this distress or the dissatisfaction or the suffering. That's the real truth, the meaning of the first noble truth. Not that really about the dukkha. It was explained because of for you to get away from that.
Then the second one is there is a cause of this. It's not just random. There's a cause of suffering, and that is desire, trishna.
Here, another next point that really, this is again the scholarly, or if you think about the logically, or he's talking about actually the arising of dukkha or cause for the dukkha. Cause for the dukkha is like tanna, when I mentioned that clinging. So because of that only it's coming. Now this is more surface level. But if you experience the first noble truth in a sense that I mentioned as the place where you don't suffer anymore, where actually you are not suffering with any of those conditions. So you are at unconditional place. You experience that. Once you experience that, you really know that really this is the truth Buddha mentioned. This is the first noble truth. Now this is like I came across a good example on that. It is like if it's a stream of water and all of a sudden there was a tree trunk, a huge tree trunk fall onto that stream of water. So what will happen is the water will just apart and then the tree trunk will make that force to apart everything. And then you would see the bottom of that, the water stream. So you could see the bottom of it. It is just like that. You see the bottom. So that is what the first noble truth is, that you are seeing the bottom. So you totally know that really, okay, this is what it is. This is how the this particular place is before the stream. So the stream is like all this suffering, but the before that it was like that. So you actually experience it. So all of a sudden, although this the tree trunk is imparting this water, water won't stay like that. Water will just start flowing again. So that is why that is the actually second noble truth, because second noble truth, the person who has experienced that first noble truth, for sure, for without any doubt, he knows that really this suffering is arising. So that is the second noble truth. It's or the person who has realized that first noble truth totally understand what's the meaning of the rising of dukkha, because he had been there, like he has been into the dry land. He knows that really this is water, and then water is just another medium.
Thirst. The thirst for making this seeming individual self fully satisfied with this world and not being happy if I'm not fully satisfied all the time. Like thinking everybody should be endlessly nice to me all the time. It sounds ridiculous if I say that, but my behavior seems to show that I implicitly believe that. Somebody is rude to me and I become unhappy for the rest of the day. Why? Because I believe somewhere everybody all the time should be consistently, endlessly nice to me. No. So this thirst that everything should be perfect for me all the time, otherwise I'm going to be dissatisfied. Third.
So it's again that really I mentioned earlier that the person who experienced the first noble truth, which is away from the suffering conditions, and then you are in a non-conditional state of experience. So you know that really the all these conditions of suffering is a is arising, and it is scholarly when you think about it. Okay, second noble truth is that the craving or your thirst, but it is to be realized, because noble, when you have the experience of first noble truth, so you do realize that really the everything happening because of your thirst or your craving or your connection or your attachment to all these things. So that is already now realized by this person who has seen the first noble truth. And but this is the explanation here that Swami Sarvapriyananda was talking about, is that, as Buddha mentioned, the cause is actually your attachment, your connection, your clinging into all the worldly thing. That is what it is, and then including your body and including your mind.
Is there an end to this? Yes. Whatever has a cause can be started and stopped. You remove the cause, it will stop.
So this is again the scholarly explanation about, okay, there is a reason, which is the tanha, or which is the actual the you're clinging into this worldly matters. So if you know the cause, you can just eliminate that cause. Then, most importantly, the person who has seen the first noble truth, he has already let go of this suffering, and then he has already done that, because he knows that definitely this is ceasing. So the third noble truth is already experienced by that person who has seen that first noble truth. So the experientially, you know this all three noble truth, the first three noble truth, instantly. Once you really understand, or once you really experience the first noble truth, he will realize, he has the insight into that first and second and third noble truth. I'm pretty sure that there's no argument if somebody actually listen to this very carefully. What that means is that really, if you have come out from this water, the actually that tadpole already transformed into a frog, and then come out of the water, and then he knows how the water is coming, and what is the water, and how the water is flowing, and how to come out from the water. So those are the three things that really uh, I would see as the four. So one would logically argue that, oh, then he has seen the uh, whole thing, and why we need another truth called fourth noble truth? We'll first follow his explanation, and I'll come to that later.
So the end is called nirvana, freedom. The Indologist Heinrich Zimmer, he says that the philosophies of India are actually optimistic. They sound pessimistic because they talk about suffering, but they're optimistic because they all offer an end to suffering, and that end is in our own hands. It's a spiritual end in which we can generate ourselves. So nirvana, it's an old and very honored term in India. There are many such words: nirvana, moksha, kaivalya, apavarga. They all mean the same thing. And different philosophies had these terms. So nirvana is possible. And then what is the method? The eightfold way.
Here again, then now the fourth noble truth, way to it out of it, and why it is needed. Now, as my example I have given earlier, the when the tree trunk fall onto the stream of water, and then you have seen the bottom of that stream, and in the same time the water will just run over that, and then you just lost it, so you don't see it anymore. But actually, you know that how it looks like, or you have the experience of that bottom of uh, the body of water. But this water is still flowing. That is why I'm saying that really, when the person who has already seen that first noble truth, he has seen as Buddha's term, he has really uh, let go of three fetters, which is called Sakkaya Ditthi, Vitikiccha, Silabbata Paramasa, which is actually your self-identity and your skeptical doubt, and of course the any rites, rits or rituals. That's all that things your connection to those things has been gone because you are seeing the first noble truth. The fact is that the person who became Sotapanna by realizing first, second, and third noble truth has to let go of the remaining seven fetters. That is why Buddha mentioned that there is another truth, which is eightfold path that need to be embraced by this person until he become an arihat.
Tanga Marga. I'm not going to go into that eightfold way. That's the method. One medieval philosopher, Madhavacharya, he wrote this book, Sarva Darshana Sangraha, a collection of different philosophies. So towards the end, he says, these philosophers are like chikitsakanamiva, just like doctors. What do? They see the symptom, pain, suffering. Then they identify the cause. What's the disease? Desire, trishna. Then they identify that whether it's curable or incurable, and they come to the conclusion it's curable. There is nirvana, moksha. You can attain peace and fulfillment. You can go beyond suffering. And then is there a treatment? Yes, there is a treatment. That is the marga, the way. So Buddha is like that. The symptom, the cause, the cure, and the treatment.
So this is a very good way to end this discussion because now he has given the actual approach Buddha took, just like a doctor. He's looking at the, identify there is a suffering, which is the condition of, our distress. And so the scholarly, he was explaining that, okay, there is a cure, like, there is a cause of that suffering because your attachment or your clinging. And if you take off that clinging, or if you treat for that clinging, then it will go away. So the way to treat is actually eightfold path. I have done a different episode about that eightfold path is been in two different aspects or two different dimensions, that really the person who's in the stream enterer, whoever actually following the Buddha's teaching, he would need to follow this eightfold path in a way that really he will come into the middle path and follow it through. And once you following through that, you will get into the place where that your awareness is very high or in a higher level, higher degree, and that level you realize this first noble truth. And after that, since you realize the first noble truth and second and third, as I explained earlier, because all three come instantaneously once you realize that, and then of course, that you have to follow the Aryashtanga Marga because it is a noble eightfold path now, because you have the insight to first noble truth and second noble truth and third noble truth. With that insight, you are following that. Or you're actually not following it. It builds up within you. You really dwell in that eightfold path to let go of the rest of the seven fetters. So Swami Sarvapriyananda is echoing Buddha's teaching in that scholarly way, but I wanted to add to that with the experiential account that really how this Four Noble Truth can be experienced by any person who's willing to do so.